This is Pamela Kuhn, and the curtain is up on Center Stage, the show about the arts and the artists behind their work. Our friends at the Flinn Gallery. I am constantly talking about the incredible level of art exhibitions at the Flinn. But folks, this time, the Flinn Gallery has got it all. In the most recent exhibition entitled Performative Stories, curators Leslee Ash and Sheridan Chung have brought motion in the form of narrative and physical form to life within the walls of the gallery. The installation is riveting. And mark your calendars, because this show opened January 15th and runs until March 3rd. 4 artists are featured in Performative Stories, and those artists, Hurlin, Janie Geiser, Maiko Kikuchi, and Jason Gardner, are with me today on Center Stage. Leslee Ash and Sheridan Chung are also on hand to introduce and shine with their successful installation. I attended the first artist panel discussion with Hurlin and Jason Gardner, and I was completely won over by their work. On March 1st is the second artist talk at the Flinn with Janie Geiser and Maiko Kikuchi at 2 p.m. This is an invigorating exhibition of energy and storytelling. Welcome to all the artists. You are gracing my day with light. I've just got to tell you that. And I just have to say right from the beginning, I'm seeing a thread of continuity throughout this installation of storytelling with a cinematic force. And I guess first, Leslee Ash, we will go to you and address that. I mean, I'm thrilled to have you again, Leslee. Author,
Yes, Pamela,
curator.
I count on you. I love doing these with you. You're a wonderful interviewer, and it's always fun.
Thank you.
So, all right. So, I'm interested to see that you see a cinematic connection. That's very interesting. They are all connected. They are all 4 different ways of telling stories, but within a definite theme.
Mhm.
Performative stories is really things that are meant to be seen, that are coming from or meant to be seen live, or in motion. Live is not really the right thing, in motion. And we have the ability here in the exhibition to stop them for a moment and see them in their full glory, if you will. Janie's work is actually in motion here. We have an installation. Both Jason and Maiko, there are videos of the work that's connected with them. And Jan's, we let people make up their own stories. It's really quite fun. Uh, Quite fun. And the origin of this is a subject that's very dear to my heart and has been for a very, very long time. I have known most of these artists for a very long time, and I won't put a number on it. I'll just keep it that. But I have followed all of their work, and I love all of their work. And I thought, now that I'm in a gallery setting. I am the chair of the Flinn Gallery, and do curate usually 1 show a year. And the impetus, actually, I said it at the last artist talk. When I knew that Hurlin was actually devoting himself to doing installations,
Mhm.
um, that opened up a door, because I can't really do a general puppetry exhibition. This isn't the venue for that, but I can do something that really opens things up and lets people think about things in different ways. And these 4 artists really address so many different um, methods of telling stories. Janie with film, Maiko with collage and animation, Dan with puppets and installation, and Jason with photographs that are based on true living performance. It's very, he'll talk about really about that. But I think that was really the crowning glory here. And Kate has just been the best possible partner for this. She has caught my bug. She's caught the enthusiasm and has been just a delight to work with on it.
I
So
love that. The energy at the Flynn. I need to express to all my viewers and listeners that Leslee Ash is no slouch. She is the author of Behind Beyond the Shadows, the Henson Festivals and their impact on contemporary puppet theater. And I know there is also an element of puppetry within this show. It's so strong, it's so powerful. I love that. And of course, you worked with the Jim Henson Foundation and company for quite a long time, Leslie, didn't you?
quite a long time.
I love that.
Quite a long time. Yeah, I was with the company actually for 24 years. And actually I was on the foundation board for 37 until Cheryl actually said, you know, we're supposed to have a 2-year rotation. And I said, oh, well, I guess I'm about 35 years over over my
Okay.
time.
Yeah, it's time for
So
you to go. Yeah,
yeah,
they don't want to
yeah.
lose you,
So
Leslie.
yeah, so well,
No
it's
one
fine.
wants to
What I
lose
ended up doing, actually with Cheryl's help, what I ended up doing was I'm on the board of the Eugene O'Neill Theater Center now, and there is a puppetry conference there, and it's a form of continuity with everything that I have
you.
been
Very
doing because
exciting.
I love this form and I love the various ways that it has branched out. And I think that's what
Mhm,
we're looking at
mhm,
here is a
mhm.
lot of the branching out of that. I mean, Janie will talk about, she did, was known as a puppeteer. She's really a well-renowned filmmaker now.
Mhm.
Each of these people have done a myriad of different forms.
Mm,
I
it's so
think that's what's
exciting.
really exciting.
And you're all here on center stage. Kate, I want to move to you just quickly. I mean, how did you get pulled into this, or did you offer your help to the Flynn? And do you also have an interest in photography and puppetry, etc.?
I was lucky enough to have my offer accepted when I offered to play a supporting role as a co-curator. I just joined the Flynn the year before last. And so I kind of raised my hand timidly, and Leslie, to my good fortune, very generously said, "Well, I'll take you on. I have a
I
show
said,
coming up."
yes, yes, yes.
So I could not have imagined. Firstly, likewise, I couldn't have worked with anyone better, as you can imagine. I feel very fortunate and look forward to doing it again. But I could not have imagined what surprise and delight these artists would bring to my life, and seeing their magic together. Has been, I don't think I could have ever thought of it like you did, Leslie. And it's amazing how distinct and unique each one's work is, and yet in context it just really sings.
Mhm.
I think that's what our viewers have would agree.
Oh yeah, yeah, no question about that. That's wonderful. I'm great. I'm grateful you're on board at the Flynn.
Thank
Well,
you.
well, look,
I
let's
am
get.
too.
I bet you are. Let's
Get it.
get right to the artists themselves. And ladies, just sit tight for a minute because we're going to start with the men today. So, Jason Gardner, I want to talk to you about your wonderful photographs. You bring actually a sense of anthropology to your photographs in your wonderful collection about Carnival, the celebration of Carnival literally around the world.
Yeah, the project that I'm exhibiting at the Flynn is a 15-year project. It's called We the Spirits. It's about the traditional carnival and the performance thereof,
Hmm.
which speaks to larger issues of the human condition. That is the inevitable change from winter to springtime, but also the struggle between light and dark, between chaos and order, between beauty and ugliness, between different archetypes of the usually the rural experience, the rich man, the poor man, the old man, and the old farmer, and all these things. And it really tells a story that while I think there's one question in the Q&A about the Christian calendar, and it has to do with Lent.
Hmm.
Yes, the idea of carnival is that, but it's really a winter festival that has pagan roots. The idea of masking itself is as old as time, as old as man. But the festival of carnival itself had been sort of subsumed into the Christian calendar, with the idea that you are getting in all the fat, getting in all the partying before you go into Lent, in which you sort of ease off and kind of avoid certain things, or don't do certain things. But really, I look at the project in general of what is Carnival, and why do these people do these intricate costumes year over year and practice all year? Why do they do it? They do it because the name of the reason why I named the project "We the Spirits" is because they make this connection of between now, the current day, and the ancient generations that came before them.
Fabulous.
So for me, overall, it was fascinating to see, me being from America and having been to New Orleans many times. I thought the idea of Carnival was, it's just a big party, and you get to, the rules suspend, you get to do whatever you want for a couple of days. And yes, it's sort of an improv. Yes, and right, it's so much more than that. It's really just a ritual that's ancient, but that's happening in modern day.
How did this idea come upon you originally to cover all of these, and how many countries have you visited?
The We the Spirits project is my second book, and that encompasses 15 countries, largely in Europe, but Eastern and Western Europe, but some in Caribbean, West Africa, and United States. It sparked from my first project, which ended up being about Carnival in Brazil, but also this time being about one area in Brazil that was not Rio and not Bahia, which is the most well-known places. But I went to a different place, Recife, in the northeast, Pernambuco, which I kind of plunged deeper and deeper in one carnival over 4 or 5 different visits over about 8 years. So every time I returned, I kind of peeled back another onion layer and kind of went into see different manifestations of the carnival. And then after a few different times, I started getting invited to private ceremonies and preparations that most people never see.
Were you ever invited to dress as one of them in a
celebration? Both, not only in Brazil, but there's some carnivals that I went to that you had to, in order to photograph, you had to dress. You could not just show up in jeans and t-shirt, they wouldn't let you in. So, and many times actually,
What a ritual.
I really enjoyed it. For me, it's a fascinating way that humans express all of these things that I just mentioned. For me, also, it was fascinating to get interviews with the participants, which informed some of the captions in the gallery, because it was, on 3 levels. People react to my work. First, oh wow, beautiful costume, and then the second is like, oh, what does it mean to the community? Why did they do that? But the third and deeper level is, what does it mean to that specific person, right? So I have some of those stories interwoven in there.
What I found in your work displayed at the Flinn was a sense of reverence, but at the same time, this fantastic sense of raw, really, really raw. And I appreciate
because
that so much.
These carnivals, these characters are meant to be a little scary and raw. They're meant to kind of push the envelope a little bit. This is not a little happy thing. It's happy, but it's not like all flowers and lace. There's an edge to it.
And really, most of these costumes are delegated to men. Am I right?
This is true, although there are women who participate in the carnival, and there's a couple of women pictured in the 10 image set that are in the Flinn Gallery. It is largely male dominated, yes.
But the women are okay with this most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, in the traditional villages, there's a couple reasons. One is that often, especially in Eastern Europe, there's these big, huge, heavy brass bells that occur that they wear, and so it's heavy. So that's just a pragmatic thing. The second is that in the small villages, these traditional formats, the men are the ones who are kind of allowed to be in public, even though they're costumed. The women kind of stay at home. That's what it is. It's not really a women's lib thing. It's just how it's structured.
But centuries of ritual. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. The reason I talk about cinematic, actually, everyone, is that, Jason with his camera, well, Stanley Kubrick had a camera initially too, and look what he did with it. And I think in all of your work, it speaks to me that there is movement and indeed a future of where to go, which is very exciting, because I think all of you set a scene for definite stories that need more development. But Jason, thank you for sharing. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. Your work is amazing. It's
Thank
very
you kindly.
beautiful. And Dan Hurlin, I know that you were on a schedule too. Um, you know,
Not so tight.
okay, great. I bow to you. You know, really, you are so special. I mean, just your whole being, it just evokes this sense of great fun and magic. And hearing you speak in the artist talk, hearing you speak about um, dancing, about teaching at Sarah Lawrence, about puppetry, and then looking at your installation at the Flynn, and immediately I thought I was in a David Lynch film. I mean, literally. And that's again getting back to cinematic, you know. But wow, Dan, you're quite a guy, and this whole connection with you and Leslie with the puppetry, I think, is really exciting. Um, what are you really trying to say in your exhibition at the Flynn? I mean, the short answer, Dan.
Oh, that's always a very difficult question. It's
Hmm.
always difficult because, uh, in the case of Motel, which is one of the pieces in the gallery, I have a very strong idea about what is going on in it. But I don't, I don't want to be, dictatorial about it. I don't want to, tell people what to think of it or how to respond to it or any of that. Um, and so I try to well one of the things that first initially drew me to puppetry, aside from seeing Janie Geiser's work, was the notion that a puppet is a blank slate. A puppet just a surface on which you can project all kinds of information. You see a puppet walk across the stage, but you project all of this sort of emotional detail.
Hmm.
And that idea about projection on a blank slate is what, kept me in puppetry for a really long time. And it still is something that, really interests me. So I don't, while I make things that I think are specific, I try to leave as much room for the viewer as I can.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's my way of evading your answer.
I know. Let me frame it another way then. You know, it's like as an opera singer, people come up to me and say, "What's your favorite opera?" Oh my God! I mean, how do you answer that, right? Is there a sense of an awakening in your scene, let's say in the motel room? Because, you know, when I think of any great film, any great novel, there's always a scene in a motel room. There are always these static pieces, you know, that we're left with. And you're right, we do project onto that. But there's a sense of power in the miniature with what you've done at the Flynn that I think is so worthy of our time.
I
And
think
maybe it awakens in all of us, you know, just a personal reflection of a similar scene, even if it's something we've absorbed from someone else.
Well, I think a number of people, a number of people's initial response when they see Motel is, "I've been there. I've been in that room." It's a very, on every highway there's a motel like that, or multiple motels like that, and we've all been in them. So it kind of grounds the whole piece in an instant sort of sense of recognition, and I think opens a door to allow the viewers to sort of go in there and decide for themselves what's actually happening.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'd also say, to your point about making something sort of important, the piece is the piece is 1/2 scale, and it's a very odd scale. It's when you look at it, by itself, it's very you don't see a lot of things in 1/2 scale. You see like doll houses, which are like, this big, and you see dolls that are this big, but you really don't have a sense. You don't really have the opportunity to see a lot in 1/2 scale. And so it's a
Mm,
little bit, the scale itself, I think, is sort of jarring and,
yes,
and
I
at the same
agree.
time inviting.
I would agree with you there. It is a little jarring. And actually in the artist talk you talked about the story, the crumpled papers, perhaps the idea of about abortion, the woman sitting, I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, there are a lot of moving parts here.
Yeah, and this, as I said, the story that I have for it, it initially started as being I was working on a play, a puppet play that had a scene in a motel. And I've been having a really hard time getting funded for it. And so I just thought to myself, you know what, well, what if I just make this set? I'll just go, it's not that expensive. I can afford to do that myself, and I'll just make this set. So it was originally intended to be the set for this whole other story. Very quickly in building it, it took on its own life. But the turning point came when I was in the studio building, and when I'm working in the studio, I like to listen to NPR, and although I don't these days, but I was listening to NPR, and that was the day that the Supreme Court Dobbs decision came down, and I suddenly thought, oh, there was always going to be a woman with money in the motel room because that was the scene in the play. That's what happens in the play. So there was always going to be a woman with money. But when I heard that the Dobbs decision had come down, I realized that the image of a woman with a pile of money in a motel room suddenly took on a completely different meaning, and a kind of horrible meaning. And so the piece, I think somehow I've managed to sort of inject it with, even if you don't know that that's what is going on in the motel room, there's this real level of anxiety. It's a very anxious piece when you're looking at it, and I think the the David Lynch comparison is not too far.
It always happens in a David Lynch setting. There's always a dark motel where anything can happen and will happen. And the sense of mystery is always heightened by the atmosphere. And that is the same atmosphere that you have created and we're seeing at the Flinn. I loved it. The crumpled pieces of paper, just the little curtains, everything about it, it just heightens all of our awareness and what we draw upon. I mean, bravo to you too. And then... Sorry.
I think there's another thing which drew me to puppetry, which was that it has the ability to make the quotidian marvelous. You can watch a puppet walk and you can think, oh, I do that. I walk every day. But to see that cognitive distance between you and the puppet somehow allows you to see your own life in a way.
It's so true, isn't it? It's the darndest thing about puppetry. And I know myself watching the famous Anthony Minghella production of Madame Butterfly, where they do bring out a puppet for the role of the boy. It is jarring. It is moving. It was so overwhelming to me emotionally. I thought I was going to lose it because there was so much power in that single figure. Yeah, you're so right. You guys all live.
I want to go back for a second. I want to go back for a second just to the scale issue, because when Dan's saying half scale, people think of, half inch to a foot. This is half human scale. So we did not use a lot of the original pictures when we were promoting the exhibit, because people would think it was a dollhouse, like he said. Now we have, actually, Dan will be sending you, we actually have some great pictures that really show what the scale is, but it's 15 feet long. I mean, this is, we're blessed with a large gallery and we're able to do that, but it's a significant presence in this. And initially, he hasn't said it, but initially you walk in and you think, what's that packing crate doing there? And then you have to go stand up on the step or look in through the window and you see this wonderful world unfold. It's quite exciting, quite magical.
Quite something. Yes, Dan, you are filled with magic. And you have another element with the pharma, but I will leave that to all our viewers to go in and see for themselves, because really I feel we have a smorgasbord on offer at the Flinn right now, and it's a lot of elements. And wow, it's just overwhelmingly wonderful. Maiko Kikuchi, I read in your bio that you trace your earliest artistic endeavors to creating stories within miniature figures in the sandbox when you visited your psychoanalyst father's office. Now, right away, you've got me right there. I mean, this can be either wonderful or horrifying. However, what a profound influence.
Yeah, it was very interesting experience, but like as a tiny kid, it's just like fun play at like my father's like office. I even don't know what my father does, and then because like to me like a doctor is literally like fixing something or like get the medicine to fix the cold or sick or whatever, and then I just like couldn't understand what the doctor fixing the heart or mind, and then I always wondering, but like he has like great toy in his office, and then that's all about to me. And but yes, that's definitely influenced my artistic like practice, or like how I imagine the world in the real life.
Mm-hmm.
What's the boundary between them? So that's how I start really interested in, and I always want to create the boundary and share with others.
Interesting. Well, what was the strongest influence in your life developing as an artist then, beyond that?
So I think like puppetry is like really big, like turning point, or the new door for my creative life. And because first of all, my art major in Japanese like art university was design. And I like painting, I like collaging, but I have never like done any kind of performance or theater. And then like to me, and then I think most of the Japanese people think the puppetry is a really traditional bunraku style puppet, or like the show to the kids, like the like Muppet or
Yeah.
Sesame Street is like, the kind of whole image of the puppetry. So, and then I entered the graduate school. It's called the Pratt Institute in New York. And it's because I kind of like I started figuring out I'm not the design person. It's just like design is you needed to create something for others. And then I was like, I kind of want to make something to myself. So I took the sculpture major MFA. So what I did was like making like a three-dimensional sculpture or doing collage. And then I was about to, graduate and go back to Japan. But then I realized I miscalculate my credit, and then I need one more credit for graduation. And I was like, oh my God, what should I do? And then I, read the syllabus and try to find like one more like one class that it's easy to get one more credit for my graduation. And then I found puppetry. I was like, okay, that should be
Wow.
easy and fun. But so that's the only reason I how I met to the puppetry. And then I took this puppetry class led by Theodora Skipitaris. She's like wonderful, great puppet artist in New York. And so her class changed everything. It's just like, I heard she's talking about the bunraku, but it's because I didn't know about any puppetry. I was like, bunraku sounds like Japanese. What is it? So
Mhm.
that level. But and then like I find out the puppetry has a lot of different way to, perform the story and then share with others. And so it's because like my creation purpose is how I can make the visible daydream and share with others. I think the puppetry is like really makes sense to me. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like you can actually move the sculpture you create, or using the collage art as a shadow puppet, or like any kind of elements you're being creating can be a part of the real dream on the stage. And I always like story is very important for me. Like even when I make the collages, I always think that's like a still image of the moving image. That's why I create animation from my collage artworks. So now I just like realize, okay, so if I make the puppet show, then I can create this all like moving image with stories on the stage and the show with hundreds of people at the same time. And so, and then here I am. I'm still here creating puppets, and then I very blessed that kind of turning point.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was a great answer. I've got to say, you're so playful. All of your work is a sense of playfulness,
Thank you.
but also a little touch of the macabre as well. I mean, if I'm being really honest, am I right?
Oh, so you said like it's funny
A
and
little
then
shade of darkness, maybe.
oh yes, yeah,
In the
definitely.
elements.
Yes.
It's like any
So
great
many, so
fable. I
many,
mean,
yeah, like sickling color face people in my artworks. And um I think like it's but like so when I create the visible daydream, I try not to make the like nightmare. But when you think about the dream in your actual like real life,
mhm.
you feel a little kind of like unsettledness.
Yeah, unsettled. Yeah, that's a good way
Mhm.
to put it. Mhm.
So, well, like when I was like walking to the school in the US when I first come in US, because like everything is very surreal to me. I don't have like I my English was disaster, so I can't speak any language, and then like everything is like triple bigger than like Japanese tiny stuff. And so
Yeah.
everything is really kind of really similar to the real life I used to in Japan, but like something different. So I started thinking, kind of daydreaming about, like when when I wake up and then drink coffee out of the apartment, go to the school, but and then I know the school is like right around the corner of 3 blocks away. But then I was like, what if there is no school today? What if like some kind of giant like elephant there, or there's a huge hole on the ground and there's no school? And then
Mhm.
I know this is ridiculous. And then but that is a kind of terrifying, and then also it's kind of like exciting, and then at the same time, and then when I turned the corner and then there is a school, of course, and I feel relieved, but at the same time I'm a little disappointed. It's this kind of feelings of mixture of terrifying, like and excitement is to me it's kind of shape of the daydream.
It sounds like real life to me. All of the elements coming together full circle. Wow,
Right.
Kikuchi, wow. Thank you so much. Wow.
Thank you.
Well, that brings us to our final artist here, Janie Geiser, who is joining us from Florida. And Janie, I have to say, your work as a filmmaker is rather profound, and you are quite well known for everything. Multitudes of material has been written about your work, your interviews. I did watch one of your pieces, and I have to say, I walked away kind of like Maiko. I was a little unsettled, but there is so much imagery going on. What is it about the art of film and using all these different textures that appeals to you? Why were you drawn to this?
Yeah, it really did come out of, well, I started as a visual artist and then started doing puppet theater, which I did for a long time. And actually, I still do. Nobody there comes to LA to see puppet theater. So, so it's too big and too much stuff, as Dan knows, to tour very well with. So I started making films as a part of my performances. I would project film into the set or use it in that way. But then that led to also making the films as separate pieces, kind of like puppetry in a way. They're moving objects. I'm mostly shooting frame by frame animation and using a lot of collage materials. And I really approach it similarly to how I think about the puppet theater, kind of esoteric stories, and maybe more like Dan's Hotel in the sense that the film allows me a little bit more openness and freedom to have the images be received by people and kind of interpreted by other people. So when I first started making films, I was making all the elements kind of like with the puppet theater, but it just started to kind of look the same. So I started adding more and more collage materials, kind of to keep myself interested. And then I like bringing the real world into the films, and also finding things then becomes an impetus for a film. So the piece that's at the Flinn, Look and Learn, I found all these photographs of kids in group photos in the 1950s, like their school class photos. And I somehow just found those photos to be kind of oppressive. Thinking about, oh, they're putting all the kids in this grid, trying to keep them in order, trying to keep, education in order, the kids in order. And it made me think about how we learn, at least in the United States, how we were learning. And I think it's not that different now, that you learn through all this memorization, through different ways that are helping you kind of be able to exist in this society. And some of the information that you're getting helps you and maybe hurts you too. But anyway, I just wanted to play with those images and with other kinds of materials that were about learning. So there's a lot of, workbooks in there, but also I'm fascinated by instructions. Like if you get a piece from IKEA and you have these instructions to read or decipher, that's kind of it's another kind of learning that you're doing while you're assembling this piece you've never assembled before. So there are a lot of diagrams and instructions as part of it too. So every film that I do kind of draws on a different set of materials. And I just find that kind of a fun way to work, actually.
That's amazing. Do you think of yourself as a visual artist or a filmmaker? Or am I asking a ridiculous question?
I just say I'm an artist.
Yeah.
Because I can cover whatever,
Can you talk to me, because it's so present and it's so powerful to me, your sense of sound in your films? And actually, oftentimes this is uncomfortable. This is unsettled. It's granular at times. What is your thought process behind this? Or are you just inspired with a visual and you have a sound that comes to you immediately?
No, I start the film first, and then I am immersed somewhat in what the world of this film is going to be. And at the same time that I was working on it, one of the things that I found was a recording of the Berkeley teach-in, where it was 1960 something, I can't remember, 6 or 7, where just as a kind of rebellion against how we learn and how information is given, the students at Berkeley did their own teach-in, and then kind of the more radical thinkers and professors came to that too, and they just had their own kind of parallel school. And I listened to that recording, which was a double record set, and there were so many interesting people on it. Angela Davis was there, Dr. Spock, not from Star Trek, the person who was all about children, how children should grow up. And so I wanted to weave some of that into it, and then just other things that I would find that seemed to have a kind of sonic relevance. So
Yes.
I start adding the sound when I'm partially through the film, and then they kind of complete together.
I found this very powerful.
Okay.
That aspect of your work, I have to say, it was very distinct, but everything you do is very distinct and finite. And, some of the things that I viewed, I have to say, were you have so many ideas, at one time. And
It's exhausting.
It is. And it left me wondering whether you dream these ideas or this just comes to you easily.
It's really a kind of classic collage in a sense, in that collage, you're responding to what you see and responding to materials and responding to the world. And when you put two things together, they kind of create a different meaning than they have when they're apart. So it's more a kind of collage approach rather than, oh, I'm laying in bed with a million ideas. I might have 2 or 3 ideas, and then the materials kind of inform the rest of it. And always looking for texture and color and having those things get kind of more physical.
Let me ask all of you, is that sense of boundary from what keeps you all from going quite crazy? Because, really, art is a way for us to work out chaos. I mean, and it's interesting to me that it starts with one idea, and then it can grow and morph into something so huge, or maybe something so small but yet powerful. I always find that interesting in the world of the visual arts.
I mean, in a sense, for me, it's that everything is there's so much going on all the time. And so in a way, it's more pulling it in to make work out of it and to sort of make sense of the world, not maybe for anybody else, but just the act of making and doing something with these materials really is just a way to live, I think.
Yeah, this is what keeps us sane in a world that's spinning out of control. So it's very important. Art is always important, but I think in these days it's more important than ever.
There's no question about it. And all of you are diplomats for the arts, and we must all keep speaking up louder than usual, I think. Well, I want to thank all of you for being with me on Center Stage. This has been really fascinating. And I have to say once again, Leslee and Kate, you've really put together something extraordinary at the Flinn Gallery this time. And they've had their great exhibitions, but this one seems to be more on fire. There is such a wealth of visual stimulation and a real excitement to me. So there you go. And your next artist talk will be Janie and Maiko on March 1st for anyone that is keen to come at 2 p.m. at the Flinn Gallery at the Greenwich Library. Leslee and Kate, just let me ask you the last question. You are the little gallery that roars. Yeah. I mean, it's quite extraordinary in this city, which has so much money and so much power behind it. We can finance, these great museums like the Bruce, but yet everyone keeps coming back to the Flinn. What is the spark that keeps you guys going?
Well, we're extremely fortunate. We are a nonprofit, not-for-profit exhibition space funded by the Friends of the Greenwich Library. We have this gorgeous space, and while we would love to sell the things that are in the exhibit, especially for the artists, that is not the primary thing when we choose an exhibition. That isn't the focus, and they keep saying to us, don't worry, it's an educational. I mean, we're in a library, for goodness sakes. We are educators here, and it is always bringing something new to people that they haven't thought about. And I think that's what makes them special, is that we have that sense that it is really for everyone, and everybody. You can see people coming in behind me. People come in on a regular basis, and we'll have a big group tonight because there's a film showing tonight of Lottie Reiniger's The Adventures of Prince Ahmed, which on its 100th anniversary of the first animation done by a woman as a stop motion animation, a very exciting piece. So we have all ages coming in. We have people who don't go to any other gallery, and this is what they begin to know about art, and that's a responsibility that we have, and to keep it very varied. So we always are very conscious of making our season be very varied. What was the last show is nothing like this show, is nothing like the next show. And that's fun. That's the fun part of it. So
it is brilliant. Kate, will you be back for more? I hope.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it.
Well, I
Thrilled to
look
be a part.
forward to the next installation, but first of all, I wish you all the best in performative stories, and thank you to all my artists today. Jason Gardner, who's now having his dessert in a Paris cafe, Dan Hurlin, Kate Sheridan Chung, Janie Geiser, thank you for spending time with us, Maiko
You
Kikuchi,
left out Maiko.
and I haven't forgotten Maiko yet. We can't forget Maiko. My God,
Thank you.
that girl's on fire. And Leslee Ash, thank you so much. Dan Hurlin, keep making your magic. It's just wonderful to be able to talk to all of you, and
Yeah,
all
I
the
think they're all
best.
musicians.
Oh, great! Oh my gosh!
They're
Well,
all magicians, yeah.
every artist here is a musician.
No, all
Oh,
magicians.
magician.
I was following up on what you said. Not in the sleight of hand sense, but
No.
in making people see, as Maiko said before, bringing a dream to be visual, to be able to see it.
Yeah.
And I think that this is all that's what attracted me to puppetry initially. It is giving form to things that you think and you feel.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful medium. So
And
here we have many varieties of the way that is explored. And I'm very excited about that. So thank you, Pamela.
always, always, and forever, and all the best to all of you. Thank you so much. I want everyone to go to the Greenwich Library, to the Flinn Gallery on the second floor. And Leslee, your opening hours are?
We're open 7 days a week. We are open 10 to 5, 4 days a week. Thursdays we're open till 8. Actually 5 days a week. Okay, I don't know how to count. 5 days a week we're open from 10 to 5. One night we're open till 8, and then on Sundays we're open the same hours as the library, which is 1 to 5.
This is fantastic.
So
Get all the young people in. This is very important.
yeah, we're here.
All right, everybody, go and see Performative Stories. And while you're at it, tune in to WGCH Radio on Tuesday mornings for my show, Center Stage with Pamela Kuhn at 9:02. And hopefully you will see this entire filmed version out on all the podcasts, on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts at Center Stage with Pamela Kuhn. Thank you again, everyone, and all the best. Keep weaving your magic.
Thank you.
It's fantastic. All right, to everyone, stay safe out there. This is Pamela Kuhn, and the curtain is now down on Center Stage.